Welcome in. So it looks like we have a couple of you out there. Today we're going to talk about how to configure favorites in different areas of eCW. So there's a number of different places where you can configure favorites that I know of, and if any of you out there have know of any other areas where you can configure favorites, please do share. But if we look, the first place I was going to show you is how to configure favorite labs. So anyway, if you go to File here, then we have, it's actually EMR. Then there's Labs, DIs, and Procedures, and then there's My Labs, DI, and Procedure Favorites. So once we click on that link, feel free to follow along in your own login. But you can see we now have my favorite labs here. So these are the labs I have set up as my favorite labs, and you can adjust these real time and go in and out of finding them. But see, now I've got these figured. I don't have very many. I use eClinisense more than anything to find labs for certain diagnoses. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather. So I mostly use that, but this is one option that works really well. And one place where this might actually work really well is to help your teams, and maybe we should work on getting teams to get these configured. I know a lot of people use, with our computerized physician order entry CPOE certifications for our MAs, that our MAs are actually doing a lot of lab order entry for us. We'll kind of give a verbal order and they'll put it in. And so from what I've seen, most of the time people are kind of searching for the lab. They'll type in searching parameters, but if we have a favorite list, that could go a lot faster. So this is how you configure it basically. Right now we're on my favorite labs, and so you can click next and then back. And so if we want to add one, then we click add, which will pull up kind of the compendium of all the labs that are available. This should look fairly familiar. Again, this is that starts with. I like to leave my non-contains. So for some reason, it starts with. So you can kind of go through and pick the labs that you order the most, and maybe people have slightly different practices to where maybe they're doing some different things. So you can kind of specialize or customize your lab order, your lab pick lists here. So again, you've got all the CHC labs. We've starred them all. The star here at CHC means that it automatically has the venipuncture and the lab code tied to it, and so you don't have to worry about linking those when you do your billing. So the star labs are preferable, and they're labs that we've also kind of studied a little bit to make sure are the best labs to do per lab core. So from there, you've got all of your labs. So what's contained, you can go ahead and search for something that you want to try to find that would be your favorite, sort of a. And then once you find one that you want to add, so I don't think I had. If you want to do a H. pylori antibody test, star H, and I found it, then I highlight it, and then I can click OK, and now it's successfully inserted into my favorite labs. So now I've got a favorite lab. I added the H. pylori. There it is. So these are the other favorite labs that I have. I'm not sure why I have a carbamazepine on there. I don't do those very frequently, but hey, it's on my favorites. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and remove it because I don't ever do that frequently. So now I've removed that from my favorites. You can see it's actually robusted that up a little bit to how you can build these lists. It used to be a little more less intuitive than that, but it seems to be better now. So again, here's my list of favorites. So you can kind of go through and pick your favorite labs. I've heard some providers have experimented with some pick lists of maybe making all the in-house labs be their favorite labs only. I think that was a neat idea. And again, you can look at just the in-house labs right here by changing this drop-down. So with my in-house labs, the IH means that's one of our in-house labs. You can add like your A1C and your diabetic foot exam, different things you can have as far as your in-house lab. So that's one way to do things. Additionally, maybe your urine dip is probably a good one to have as one of your in-house labs. That might be a favorite for yours or not. Again, with ICD-10 now being we're a year in or so, I'm actually finding that my eClinisense is now rebuilt to a pretty high level, and so I mostly pick labs off of eClinisense or order sets. However, this is a powerful tool. Wanted to talk about it. So those are favorite labs. Any questions about favorite labs?
Questions right now.
Nada? Okay. The next one is diagnostic imaging. Again, I obviously don't use this very much. I don't have any of my favorites built in, but this is a tool that some people might like. Probably the biggest thing is to show you how to access your favorites in a minute, which I will do. But we've talked previously about having your DIs be defaulted to the Intermountain Healthcare Radiology interface, which is the third Intermountain Healthcare option. It should. We can maybe go through how to set up that default right now, if you don't already have that. Troy, I think yours is all set up that way, but we'll make sure that everybody else who's going to watch this has that all set up that way. So from here, again, if you have contains, but if it defaults to that Intermountain radiology interface, then those radiology studies will pop right into your inbox as soon as they get finished by the radiology group at Intermountain Healthcare, and they don't go through medical records. There's not a fax piece of paper that gets scanned in. It just pops right in, and they're really efficient with it. And so, yeah, you can send a patient for a film or a CT in the morning, and by lunchtime, 1 or 2 in the afternoon, it pops into your box. It happens pretty fast. So I would highly recommend trying to find your study off of this list. Now, one thing we need to work on is getting this list to be a little more robust. I'm sure all of you have, in fact, I've heard that we need to robust this up a little. Intermountain, the guy who built this with me left, and the new guy, we're still working on kind of getting a little bit more acquainted with him, but we can probably robust this up a little bit to make it a better list of DI orders to pick from. So anyway, but that's how you can pick favorites. And then again, you can also pick procedure favorites. We don't really use the procedure fields within eCW. You can build in procedures similar to, and maybe some folks out there would like to work on this a little bit, but we mostly build our procedures out of templates. But you can build a procedure. We built some of our therapeutic injectables this way. But this is mostly built for like a group that does colonoscopies or whatever. You can actually build in the colonoscopy procedure and make it a favorite at it. But if we were to utilize it, procedures that way, then you can add them as favorites. So, but that's what that is.
I had a comment on the Intermountain Healthcare. You should choose that option. Just any new providers watching this. I keep forgetting, if I'm trying to search something, I was trying to search a stress test and couldn't find it, and then somebody reminded me to take that off of the Intermountain and search all if it's not on there or if it's going somewhere else. So just a reminder of that. That took me, a good hour of frustration trying to figure that out.
That's great. Yeah. Again, that list is not super comprehensive. It's got most basic radiology stuff on there, but you will have to occasionally click at it. That's a good thought, Troy. I can make sure folks kind of see how that works. But so then when you're in your treatment screen, the way you can add your favorite items, here you've got, now when I go to add a lab, you can see right here, if I click this, then I'm looking at this star. I'm looking at just my favorite labs. As I unclick the star, then I go back to all labs. So you can toggle between your favorite labs and all labs pretty quickly with that star. So that's kind of a cool feature. And again, you can see I added that H. pylori antibody to my favorite list. Once I click this off, then it reverts to all labs, which starts alphabetically, obviously. But if I know I got H. pylori in my favorites, I can click here and then add it right there pretty quickly. And so I do really like that idea of maybe making all of your in-house labs be favorites and all of your not in-house labs, your send-outs don't be favorites. So that's kind of a cool thought if you want to build that in for yourself. Or depending on what kind of practice you have, maybe you want to build some different favorites. But again, and then to change to look at my favorite DIs, I go right here, which now I'm looking at DIs. I can make my favorite list right here. I didn't have any, if you recall, so now I don't have any DIs to pick from. But if I were to add them, then they would automatically toggle to them with that clicking of that star. So that's kind of a cool feature. I should probably work on building up my favorite DIs a little bit, because that's pretty slick, maybe even faster than eClinicsense actually. So check it out. One thing also to consider, I wanted to, yeah, go ahead.
Can you show us again how to get to the favorites, picking your favorites for diagnostic imaging? Where do you go on the, is it EMR and then something?
Sure, yeah, I'll go there right now. So the question is, how do you get to the place where you can configure your favorite imaging orders? Great question. So I'll pull this out here. It's, again, up here in the upper left, EMR, and then it's this option right here, Labs, DI, and Procedures. Scroll over, and it's the last option, My Labs, DI, and Procedure Favorites. Once you open that up.
Oh, and then you go there. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Change to DI. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and add a few. So I like to, when I'm in the Intermountain, I like to be on Contains. For some reason it doesn't default there. Maybe I changed my defaults. But if I just type chest, now I've got my X-ray chest right here. I'm going to add that as a favorite.
Is that automatically a PA and lateral?
It is. I can confirm that. I've done a few this past week. I'm going to go ahead and add the pregnancy ultrasound with transvaginal if necessary. Yeah, how about an abdominal ultrasound? So if you just type US, or I could type abdomen.
Take it off. Starts with.
Ah, yes. Oh, why am I going back to that? Yeah, thank you. Go back to abdomen. Then I can add my, yeah, let's go ahead and add an ultrasound abdomen. Okay. You have to do these one by one. You can't just pick list and then kind of pick several and add them. You have to add them one at a time, which is kind of annoying. I don't know why that's not staying as contained. So yeah, that's basically how that works. So I've added a few favorite imaging orders there. And now, when I go into my test patient here, go to my treatment screen, I'll have a diagnosis in, I'll click on my DIs. And then again, I'm on DIs right now. I click my toggle button, and there's my 4 favorites. That's pretty slick. You can add my ultrasound abdomen right there. Yeah, it doesn't have an ICD. So that's how favorites work. Hopefully that can be something helpful for you. Kind of find a workflow that you like. Sure.
I had a question, Chris. I don't know if it's appropriate for.
That's what it's about. Go ahead.
If I were to make a list of favorites that I think my team would benefit from, rather than going to each member of my team and having them one by one add those, is there a way I could share all of my favorites with them?
This is a great question. I'd have to do, there's a way when you're in, let me just look really fast here. Within your file settings, my settings, oh actually no, it's not going to be here. There's a copy my settings button, but it's for all these settings. If you can see that, actually you know where it is. It's going to be in miscellaneous configuration options. I can do configure categories. Let me just, if you don't mind me exploring here for a minute, if I change this to, potentially not. You might just have to have them, let's see, lab orders. Let's try this.
Chris, is it filter by user over on the right, and then you pick your user?
Exactly. So right now it's on me. So if I click on, so if I look at my DI orders, and I find myself here, let's see if it has my favorites checked or something. Ah, it does. Check that out. So that was my CT abdomen I just barely added. My ultrasound abdomen should be on here.
Chris, if you just click these, can you add them now?
Yeah, you can.
Instead of having to search.
Oh, that's a great, yeah. You can probably build your favorites list right here and then click apply, and then, yeah, that's a hidden feature that probably totally works, because I've configured other categories through this way. So this is a great way to pick list it all and to configure your favorites in a more efficient way. That's a great thought. So you can see my favorites here. So try to copy it to your team. What you would do now is I would do, you click copy favorites, and then it pulls up this screen right here, and then you would go to lab or DI orders, and then you would find yourself. And so, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and copy these favorite DIs over to my team right now. So you have to find yourself at your clinic. Always a little challenge. View. Bear with me here. There we go. 7 seconds. Now I can find myself. I have to click myself over, and then I want to find my team members. Now if I do all other staff, I should be able to find there's my one team member. Copy her, then I'll copy my other team member.
Put me in there too while you're at it.
Sure. Oh, it's because I'm not on providers. I'll go back to providers. There you are. And then I'll click save. And it'll say settings copy from Chris Hire, hence Chris Hire has been removed. It's from the copy to list, and then settings copied successfully. So now,
Jay, you forgot to push the arrow over for Jay.
Oh, you're right, I did. Thank you. Go ahead and do that right now. Settings copied successfully. So you should be, we might have to redo you. Hopefully you worked. And then you click apply, and then click OK, and then we close out those favorites. So maybe if you want to go ahead and verify that, Jay, make sure that worked. Hopefully that did.
That was just DI you did, right?
Yeah, so if you go into your treatment screen, go to your DI, click on your star to toggle, you should be able to access those pretty quickly.
Yep, there they are.
Sweet.
Nice.
Great. So now those are configured for those two medical assistants as well. So again, play around with those, and you can configure that configure settings button is you know, you can customize what options you see. That's how you do that through HPI, ROS, physical exam. You can play around with it and be a little careful, but you know, that's a pretty powerful little tool. Again, that's an EMR, miscellaneous configuration options, and then again, you configure categories. And when I go to configure categories, again, you can configure people's HPI, their ROS, their exam, their physical exam. So within physical exam, I have a bunch of test categories. I've been beta testing for a little while on doing physical exam a little differently. And I've copied those over to my team, so my team has them to where they can load defaults in a different way. That's a little faster. Maybe I could show you that, Jay, at some point. And similarly with ROS, I have some beta fields I'm working on, but anyway. But that's how you can configure. You go copy fit.
I have a bunch of ROSs as well that I would love to be able to share to the team. Is that going to make their own favorites go away if I share my review of systems with them, or do they keep theirs that they had there before?
It just adds categories, so it doesn't necessarily. So like if we look at your login here, let me go ahead and go to ROS and see what. So you've built some of your own stuff. So you see here's all the unusable crap, for lack of a better word, that we've removed from everybody. So you're not looking at. There's some stuff in there that just doesn't apply to us that eCW gave us for free. So nice of them. On M here, let me go find the J really fast.
There, I'm down.
Oh, there we go. Sorry. When you're driving, you don't see very well. So here we are. So these are the fields that you currently see. So you actually see CHC limited ROS. You see general constitutional. You see the autism MChat one we built in. You see the follow-up allergy, immunology. These all should look pretty familiar to what you see when you log in.
Yeah.
You probably don't need cancer self-management goals. You want me to remove that for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Done. So not sure why yours has that on there. But see then from here, I have a bunch of these test fields that I'm playing around with. Anyway. Here, Jay, let me add you to one of my beta fields that I'm kind of excited about. I don't think what I called it. It's called systems. I added that for you. Check it out. I hit apply, then I hit OK. And that's what I added to our team as well. And I can show you that briefly if you want to look at it. It's almost 8. We have 4 or 5 more minutes left, so it won't take too much time. But so in ROS, Jay, you now should see a one called systems.
Yeah.
When you go on systems, I've now created them. Each system is on one screen, so you don't have to click down through screens. And then when you hit these green arrows has 3 or 4 questions in each field of just basic stuff in each one of those. And they're actually based on the categories that Dr. Lou and I built some time ago when she was oriented on some of our default ROS. They're not super comprehensive, but they include, you know, basic or a basic neuro review system, basic musculoskeletal, you know, constitutional has weight change, fevers, skin has rash, color changes, eyes, you know, you can get a feel for what, and then if you want to add pick and pop, you can click on one of the fields and then add your own. But does anybody else want me to?
Yeah. For physical exam, I believe you just labeled it categories. I use that one daily. I think that one's brilliant.
In that suite?
Yeah.
I can show folks that really fast. So I created a similar approach to physical exam. Now, one caveat with this is it doesn't count that you examine multiple systems or that you reviewed multiple systems when you do it that way. So if you do review systems that way, your E&M coder essentially becomes not functional for you. So if you're pretty confident in your billing skills, you can do your physical exam and your ROS this way. So now I have a category called physical exam, and then I call it categories, and now it's just all of these fields, but again, green arrows of basic normals. So as I go through, I can pick and choose. I can hit clear category, and it clears all of them. I can do default per category, and it puts all of them in at once. That's a little exciting, a little too much. But anyway, it's all of your systems are all on one screen with minimal scrolling. So that's kind of a powerful thing. If you want me to add this for your login, I'd be happy to. I think it's kind of moving out of beta phase for me. I'm using it pretty regularly. Troy, sounds like you're liking it quite a bit.
Yeah, and Addie and Lee were interested in getting added onto that too. So I'll pop in there and do the categories, and then I'll go to a specific, musculoskeletal and hit that. And so I'm, basically doing a very general on, a lot of systems, and then something specific, I can just go to that category specifically.
Yeah, exactly. So when you hit the general defaults, you're one click away on the defaults on by system, but then you click in the box, and then you can, I almost will just free text whatever sort of the finding is at that point, just because it authenticates it a little bit. I think it feels better, looks better down the road than just the generic kind of a thing. So if I go down here to Moreland, I'll go ahead and add you in if you want. I still don't have a mechanism in place to where every time somebody uses these things, I get a little royalty payment. I'm working on that. So I'm on physical exam. Jay, I'm going to add you to a section called categories. Anybody who watches this video, go ahead and add that yourself on your physical exam and begin to use it if you'd like. I'm going to hit apply and then OK. Should I go ahead and do Lee and Addie?
Yeah, they'd appreciate that.
They requested. Okay, and you'll let them know about that?
Yeah.
Okay, your categories. Maybe just every time you see a patient, you could inter-office over, I don't know, a quarter per patient or something, 50 cents maybe.
I mean, I never use it.
Yeah, exactly. I have mechanisms for tracking this, so actually maybe I'll just track it and send you a bill. Let's do that.
There you go.
Lee Rogers, I'm going to go ahead and add category. I think that pretty much wraps us up. It's 8 o'clock, time to see patients. Hopefully this was helpful. Any other last questions?
That was good. It's helpful. Thanks.
Great. I'm going to go ahead and end this. If anybody wants to stay on the call, if you've got some extra time, if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But I'm going to go ahead and end the recording for today. And hopefully, I think I got all the parameters in place to be able to post this today. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.